Hi and welcome. My name is Carlin Sullivan. I'm the director of Team Pact Alumni Network, and this is our next edition of Equip. Our desire through these Equip micro trainings is to bring you, our alumni and friends of the ministry, tidbits of information, types of encouraging conversations regarding discipleship, spiritual development, leadership development, and things of that nature. So I'm so excited about our guest today. It's a good friend of mine. Her name is Molly Smith, and she comes to us with a wealth of information. She is currently a college adjunct professor and teaches communication and public speaking skills at a college here in Tampa, Florida. She also has a business called College to Career, which she's going to tell us a little bit more about that. So Molly, tell us a little bit more in light of our conversation today of interviewing with excellence, what you do at College to Career.
Sure, absolutely. So I work with high school seniors, college students, and 20 and early 30-something professionals. And I do all aspects of career development. So I'll do career counseling, so helping individuals either figure out their college major, or for my professional adults, I help them navigate their careers. Sometimes they start in a particular field and they're really unhappy. And so I do a lot of career transitions with them. And I also provide different assessments that look at your interests, your abilities, your skills, your values, so that we can make probably a better choice or better career decision, finding what's the best fit for you. I write resumes, LinkedIn profiles that market your abilities and help you find a job. And then I also provide career counseling when young adults are having problems at work. So it might be the corporate culture, it might be a management problem, a skill deficit problem, or maybe just issues getting along with the staff. So I really do a lot of counseling. And then I teach interview prep and a lot of job search strategies.
That's awesome. So you basically help people sell themselves.
Right. Absolutely. Right.
But I know that our family is a huge benefactor of your services. We still to this day credit your teaching our oldest interview skills, which led her to secure a very large scholarship. So I owe you thousands of dollars in gratitude. Very, very grateful for that. So let's switch a little bit into this,
Sure.
Our topic today of interviewing with excellence, because the culture in the world itself with COVID has drastically changed, and we've all had to pivot. And it's particularly in the workforce. So what changes have you seen working with some of your clients that COVID has caused them to pivot as well?
Yeah. So I would say I've seen an amazing amount of transition going on. So COVID was the time that people began to really reflect on themselves and what they really want. So I'll break it apart. I'll start with college students were calling me saying, what's the value of a college education? Should I step out and look at the trades? Or should I think of starting my own business because I have a lot of great ideas and maybe I'll just defer college? And then my professional adults, a lot of it was they just needed career counseling in terms of reevaluating their career direction. So that was interesting to me because a lot of them, either they were looking at the company or the corporate culture or what they were actually doing and saying, I'm not really satisfied and there's got to be something better. One thing that was really exciting to me that I heard consistently was they would say, I just want to be authentic. I want to be my authentic self. And that's because we want to figure that out at an early age, because it's a lot harder when we're 50 or 60 and we're looking back with some regret. It's pretty neat to go, I'm in my 20s, and what does it mean to be authentic? And what does it mean for me? And how do I define being authentic? And so I've worked with a lot of them. I call them guiding principles. So I've worked with a lot of them to define guiding principles that we use in our professional life, but also in our personal life. So sometimes we'll see people professionally, they're just incredible. And then we'll see them personally outside of work, and it's a totally different person. And you kind of go, what happened there? Like they're like two different people. And to be authentic, we have consistency in who we are at work and who we are at home. So many of my professional adults want to focus on that. And it's interesting because when we started working in guiding principles, almost all of them would say, I want to find more time with my family. Mm-hmm. And that's powerful, So that shows me, shows me they've had good families and maybe they've kind of walked away or got too busy at work. And I wanted to have better relationships. I want to be more active and intentional with my family. And then I want to have better friendships, So, maybe changing their tribe up and meeting other people that have similar values. So that's been one thing. And then the other thing I would say in the work environment, two things: the young adults, they definitely want more of a hybrid or remote.
Right.
So they're saying, I know the company wants me to come back, but isn't there any flexibility? And I would say there's a lot of companies that are offering flexibility. So they might be remote positions or hybrid. And there are some companies that are going, no, you guys have to come back. And so some companies are flexible. I also have noticed a lot of companies now are giving out more incentives. Like I'm seeing their benefit packages better. So normally if you have health benefits, you'll have a deductible. I'm seeing companies now giving you an extra paycheck to meet that deductible. So we'll set up an account and we'll put the $2,000 that would have been a deductible, we're putting in a health savings account so you don't have a deductible. Or I'm going to send you a nice chair and office furniture while you're working hybrid. Like they're almost bribing, but I think they're realizing that they need to be kind to their employees, value them, develop them. I've even seen more mentorship occurring now more than ever. So that's exciting for professional young adults. And then there's some companies that aren't changing. And then, a lot of people are saying, well, I see what my friends are getting, but I'm not getting that. And I think it's smart to reevaluate and see if you can work with your existing company or if there's another company that might be a better option for you.
I think working remote before COVID was just completely unheard of. And now it's just become such the norm. I was reading an article recently, and I don't know if you've seen this or if you would advise a client to do this if they're interviewing with a corporation, to go in and kind of lay down, like, I'm only willing to come in Tuesday through Thursday, or kind of like they're non-negotiables. Would you advise a client to say something like that to a future employer, or just kind of, is that kind of
Sure.
risky?
Yeah, I think it depends. I do tell people when you're in your 20s and 30s, either going in person or a hybrid is probably the best case scenario, not fully remote. I find my students or young adults that are remote, they're disengaged.
Yeah.
They don't change their tribe, which I'm all about keeping our old friends, but developing new professional relationships, because we got to grow that circle of influence, which is going to help us find another job in the future. But also they're getting passed up on opportunities, special projects, they're getting passed up on promotions because no one sees them.
Right.
So I would say when a recruiter calls you or a hiring manager calls you, that conversation should occur in that process, which is a screening process. That's when you're going to say, is there an opportunity for a hybrid? Is there an opportunity maybe 3 times a week I come in and twice a week I work at home? And let them screen you. And I would say do it then versus starting to interview and then going, oh, by the way, I want to work just hybrid. And then sometimes those hiring managers kind of get a little upset because they feel like you should have been upfront.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah. So
When you think when a client or someone's looking for a job and they found a company that they're super interested in, what's the best way for them to prepare for their interview? Like how in depth does their knowledge be for the company, and what kind of research should they do before they even apply for a job or get in front of the employer, I should say?
Sure. So I always say, look at the website, take a peek at it, make sure you understand their services, the About Me page, all that kind of stuff. But I always like to reach out to people that I might know that have worked for the company in the past or presently working, and that's becomes the value of LinkedIn. So when you grow your network on LinkedIn in the search area, you're able to put the name of the company. And what's really cool is, depending upon your connections, LinkedIn on the right-hand side of the page will show you anybody that you're connected with that has past tense worked for that company or presently, or that your connections will have a friend that works for that company or maybe in the past. And I would say that's really important to connect with that person to say, I promise I won't take more than 10 minutes of your time, but can you tell me about this company? This is what I've learned. What was your experience? And that's going to tell you a lot about the corporate culture that I'm not going to see on a web page.
Our third daughter did that, reached out and just was shocked that a vice president of a major corporation was willing to meet with her. And now she works for that company now in New York City, and that woman has continued to mentor her. So you never know.
No.
So I think people are much more willing to reach out to people behind them and give them a leg up and just spend that 10 minutes. So they should not be afraid to reach out.
Right.
So
And you
LinkedIn-
might find something about the
Oh, yeah.
company that you don't like. So then it's going to save you all that time of filling out the application and tweaking your resume. Or you thought the company does this and they do something different that you didn't pick up on. So it's a
Right.
valuable experience.
Sure. So LinkedIn is a no-brainer. You must have a LinkedIn account. I think you probably want to beat that into your clients.
Right. So I would say, think of a resume. We actually have 2 resumes. One is a
Right.
written copy. The second
Sure.
resume is our LinkedIn profile. Okay. So on our resume, we're going to have the LinkedIn URL. Everybody's going to click on that, which is your resume also. So when you're working on your resume, you have to work on your LinkedIn profile. They have to be done simultaneously so they match. And then you get to decide, do I want to use my LinkedIn profile to apply for a job, or do I want to use my hard copy? And I would say if you have a lot of recommendations on LinkedIn, I would definitely use that because your references are right there.
Right,
You know,
right.
Yeah.
So before you even get to the interview process, that you need to start with your resume and your LinkedIn profile for sure. Let's talk about the resume first. What are key components, like absolute must-dos and absolutely do not do this? What are some
Sure.
pros and cons?
So surprisingly, when I look at people's resume, they want me to review it and edit it. You'll be shocked how many people have the wrong phone number. So, and I know that because I tried to call them and I'm like, that's so weird. I have to send an email and go, phone, did you pay your bill? And it's the wrong phone number. So, make sure your contact information is right. Okay. So I always go, okay, let's look at your contact information. And then we need to have a summary. So you and I used to call it an objective,
Mhm.
and now it's called
yeah.
a summary. Remember that?
I remember
So our
that.
objective
That's wild.
was to hope to get a job as a teacher at such and such preschool. And so objective is a little bit different. It's like, and it's only 2 or 3 sentences of what my skill set is for this job that I'm applying for. And I try to say that's the only area I'm going to tweak, though sometimes I do tweak my verbiage down below. But my summary, I have a lot of friends who are hiring managers, and that's the first thing they look at is the summary.
Okay.
And they want that summary to speak about the job they posted. So it might be that the job says I need 4 years experience teaching. In my summary, if it's true, I will say I have 4 years experience teaching, and they're going to
Is
go,
that the catch? Is that like the opening sentence to a good essay?
Yeah.
Could that prevent someone, a bad summary, from them looking further into the resume?
Sure. If it does not,
That's
I
super
only have
important.
1 year's experience and it clearly says 4 years. I
Okay,
might say I have
got it.
1 year experience. However,
Got it.
I've gone on multiple, mission trips, and I've taught in multiple countries, and this
Okay.
is what I've done.
Yeah.
So you really want a strong summary about yourself.
Okay.
And I would also say before the summary, make sure you actually write in the job title. A lot of people don't. And when a hiring manager, they probably have 20 jobs out there that they need to fill. And when their administrative system is, downloading all the resumes, if the job title's not on it, a lot of times they don't even know what you're applying for.
Okay.
So go ahead and put the job title, then your summary. And then, our sections would be, experience. And I would say, this is a marketing tool. So a lot of times when I write my experience, everybody likes to write everything they've done. And I always say, let's call it relevant experience, and only put the jobs that we have that are so relevant for this job. And then underneath, we're going to have a category called additional experience, which is all the additional things that look great, but maybe are not completely relevant to the current position. So I kind of I change it around. So I'll give you an example. I initially, about 3 weeks ago, I had a speech pathologist who's been in the field for 8 years and wants to get out. And so, of course, she shows me this resume, with all the speech pathology experience, but she wants to go into marketing. And she was really fortunate. The private practice she works for, she does all their marketing. But of course, all I saw was speech path, this, speech, and then down here, marketing. I'm like, oh, no. We're going to have relevant experience, and it's all about marketing.
Great idea.
And underneath, additional experience about being a speech pathologist. And it was such a game changer because all of a sudden she started getting interviews for marketing.
That's brilliant.
So you got to kind of rework it. So I always say, I use a Word doc or a Google Doc. I don't use templates because they're not going to pass applicant tracking system. So I keep a Word doc, Google Doc. I can modify it really fast. And then this is a marketing tool, and I'm going to kind of shift things around a little bit. I would definitely, Carlin, make it measurable. So how many clients did you work with? What was the budget? How many phone calls did you make a day? Or how many projects did you write?
Right.
Lots of numbers. So we'll have our experience section or relevant experience section, our experience. And then underneath it, just have a section called community involvement or community engagement. And they eye that because that's going to differentiate you from other people. So if there's anything in the community you're involved in, if I was in sales, I would look at that section first, because I would say, if I'm going to hire somebody, I want them really involved in the community because they can bring in new clients, so it also tells me a little bit about your personality and are you caring or your team player. So I can interpret that section a lot, and it might put you ahead of other candidates. So always stay involved in our community.
Right.
It could be our church and everything we've done with our church, our small groups, civic organizations, nonprofits, and anything that you can think of. It could be, I help out with foster care and I babysit foster care children so their parents have a break.
Right.
It shows a lot about me. So those are kind of our absolutes for our resume. And I try to keep it to 1 page, but when you get in your 30s, it'll be a 2-page, and that's all right.
That's okay. Yeah. As long as it's good information. You don't want to fill it with a bunch of fluff, which they see right through.
Right. And I always say, write clear and concise.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they see bullet points. I'm like, I don't know what this means. And we quickly make it clear and concise, because that's your hiring managers. They are clear and concise. I know them. They're my friends. And you should see them, like when they see my resume, so go, So I watch their eyes and they're reading the summary right away. And then they'll read the first 2 bullet points of everything. Go down the community involvement, and then they make a comment about the community involvement.
Interesting.
And they give it 9 seconds. That's it.
Wow.
9 seconds. So
that is fast.
Got to be a marketing tool.
Okay. So give us some points of what you would not want to put on your resume.
One thing is, you don't want paragraphs. You have to have bullet points.
Okay.
I love paragraphs. I love them. I'm not allowed to do it because my friends don't like it. They'll say, give me bullet points, Molly. And I sort of like that. I would say never lie. Never. Because right now, when you get hired, they have a third-party system, and they give your resume to the third party, and they call everybody you worked for, all your internships, all your organizations. I've gotten phone calls because my kids have worked for me. They did all my QuickBooks, and they would say, is this Molly Smith? Yes, it is. And they'd read the bullet points and give me the dates and say, is that the truth? And if anybody fudges, you will not be hired, because it's dishonesty. We don't want to hire just a dishonest person. So this has got to be the absolute truth, and pay attention to your dates, like off a month or 2 months.
Right.
Your GPA, don't lie about it, because you have to hand in your transcripts.
Right.
So if you didn't graduate, don't lie about it, because you have to hand in your diploma. I mean, I'm still handing in my diploma. It's insane. And I have to go all the way back to undergrad and hand in those diplomas. And so be honest on your resume.
Right.
Is your LinkedIn is true? Don't put fluff on, like you said.
Yeah. Does the LinkedIn account have to be as detailed as a resume? Does the resume have more details?
I would say both need to, because the recruiters are going to find you through LinkedIn. Okay. So and they're going to scan it as fast as everybody else does. They're going to want numbers and data.
Okay.
And those bullet points, they definitely want that. So I would say as detailed as possible. The one thing I would say, I have people that say, well, Molly, I use my LinkedIn and no recruiters ever call me. Well, we now have this little button that we can turn on when we're looking for a job. So it will say looking for work, or want to be hired or something.
Sure.
But underneath your name, everybody likes to write, I'm vice president of such and such, or I'm a project manager for so and so.
Right.
And it's a heading. And what you should do is, if it's a really great company, definitely include the company name. But what you really want to do is put in all your skills. project management, and maybe a software system that's really important for project management.
Okay.
And then team collaboration or budget management. And that's how recruiters actually find you, is underneath your name in the heading. Those are keywords. They're typing in the same keywords.
Gotcha.
So I can actually look at a job description and I can see their keywords. I can put them right in my LinkedIn. And those recruiters will find me like that.
Amazing.
And then they're going to message me. And so I'm trying to make this really easy. And so I have to use keywords for them to
Okay.
find me.
That's
Yeah.
brilliant. I would never thought to do
Yep.
that. Want to put, their major at what college they attended, things like that.
And you don't want to do that. you
Okay,
know.
that's brilliant.
And then if you have an MBA, write in MBA.
Yeah.
If you have a master's, write in, MA or MS,
Sure.
because sometimes they're looking, like one of the job descriptions is they would prefer someone with an MBA or prefer
Sure.
an MA. Make sure it's there, master's degree, and so.
Sure. Talk a little bit about social media and how important that is. Is that what do recruiters look at social media accounts? First of all, do they look at it at all? And do employers look at it before the interview process, before a client is granted an interview, or is it after they've already started interviewing a prospective employee?
So by law, they're not allowed to make hiring decisions based on your social media.
Okay.
However, they do. Okay. I'll share an example on a young lady who was in marketing, and she's had 2-3 really good jobs. And I just happened to be connected with her on Facebook, and I would see some inappropriate content. And for 9 months, she was looking for a job. I knew why it was taking her so long, but she didn't ask my opinion until 9 months later, and messaged me and said, I just can't find a job. And she's very skilled. And I just messaged her back, please take your social media and go to the search button and press private. So only your friends will see it, but nobody outside that friendship. So Instagram,
Right.
Your YouTube channel, whatever it is, whatever social media, it should be on private mode, and really watch inappropriate content. They do look, they will check your all your profiles, even your LinkedIn. They'll look at the picture, make sure it's professional, not a selfie. They hate that, So they do make decisions best, even though by law you're not allowed to. And so that's the first thing they look at. Why would they waste an interview if your brand on your social media is inappropriate or not professional?
Did that help her when she went private?
Instantly got interviews. It was
Oh my
crazy.
gosh, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
It was amazing. And she's like, oh, I never thought about it. I'm like, I've been watching this for years. And,
That's amazing.
yeah. And, I know they're using social media for fun, but it is public unless you have it in private mode. But even if it's on private mode, 80% of people find their next job through connections, and our connections could be on social media. And if they see some inappropriate content, they're going to be a little nervous about taking your resume and giving it to the hiring manager, because it is a reflection upon
Sure.
you. So you really have to watch that content.
So maybe the word for all the young people today is not everything has to be posted.
Right. Yes.
You can enjoy
yeah.
the memory on your your
Right.
photo stream or whatever. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's
That's a
huge.
great
All my friends who are hiring managers, it's the first thing they do is check your social media,
Okay.
and they're savvy. They know how to find you. They're really
Okay.
good. They're like private investigators. They know everything.
Well, they invest a ton of money into recruiting and hiring and training, and you don't want to make a mistake on that at all. So for sure. So,
Yeah.
okay. So prospective employees in front of the employer, how do they best prepare for the interview, and what are some really good interview techniques? I'd love for you to talk about how to answer questions and how many questions they should offer and dress, and all just the whole gamut.
Okay, so I always tell people, if you're going to interview, it is called practice.
Okay.
Like, I want you to be so fluent. You never have to worry about being over prepped. They'll never see it. They will say, gosh, she's so confident,
Yeah.
or she's so prepared, or she's so professional, or she's so fluid. What great communication skills. So, you can go online and Google interview questions general. They also have behavioral interview questions. And then you can get interview questions specifically for your industry. And so
Okay.
you want all three, and you want to go through them. So I always say, when we interview, and we're asking, or somebody asked us a question, when you respond, try to do it in a storytelling way. Like, maybe they would say to me, Molly, tell me a time you had a really challenging time at work, and how did you deal with that? And, I might say, well, gosh, I'm going to make this up. But, one time I worked at Waubonsee Community College, and I was given this position, but I had absolutely no training. And quite frankly, I had no idea what I was supposed to do. And so what I did was I met the administrative assistant, who was just incredibly professional, and I asked for help, and she was able to show me X, Y, and Z. And then I actually called the person who had my job prior and asked them exactly what do I do, because for whatever reason, they didn't have bullet points, they didn't have any training. And just by reaching out and asking for help, I was able to piecemeal it and do my job really well, or something. So I tell a story rather than, well, I've had a lot of challenges, and, I'm able to figure things out, and it might take me some time, and I'll do a little research, but I'm really good, versus a nice story really helps them understand you,
Sure.
your personality, and your ability to communicate a difficult time or something. So every question, look at your resume. I always say, if you have a good resume, all the answers are on your resume. So look at it and create these stories. But if you prep, you already have your stories established. Okay, so you're just literally picking them up and verbalizing them. A couple things, always smile. So if we're on Zoom and we're doing an interview, which is extremely common, I'm not going to be able to read your body language, and I'm not going to be able to feel your energy. And if I feel your energy and I can read your body language, I'm going to tweak what I say, but now that's eliminated.
Right.
So, we just gotta be, they always say they hire us for two reasons. One is that, we obviously have the skills, but two, we look like a nice person, and we look like we'll get along with the team. That's it.
That's
okay.
crazy. Yeah.
That is. So hiring managers.
I'm getting a little uncomfortable. Like, okay, well, let me.
So hiring managers will say the number one problem at work is conflict. Okay, conflict within teams, different personalities. Sure. So man, they're all about your personality. You better smile, be positive, enthusiastic. And you can kind of overdo it. It's still going to be authentic.
Sure.
And if you're online, you sort of have to do it, a little bit more for them to really enjoy that. So I would say, prep like crazy, come up with stories. Now, a lot of times they're going to say, Molly, do you have questions for me? In advance, write down 6 to 7 questions and let them see the paper. Oh yes, I have some questions for you. And I wrote them down. And you're going to get your pencil out, and as they tell you, they respond, take notes.
Okay.
Because if you sit there and go, okay, and I'm just listening, I know you're never going to remember anything. But if you take notes, I know you're going to go back and reflect. And I know that if I hire you and you're going through some training and development, you're going to take notes, and your learning curve is going to be a lot faster. So definitely have 6 or 7 questions. And be ready to go. I have them for you. Like, show them, brag. I wrote them down, and I'm taking notes. They'll love it. Okay.
Right.
So that's some, I guess, some things. And then I know you and I were talking about the thank you notes. What do you do?
What is appropriate now? Old school was handwritten note. Now it's definitely not, or not even a type note. It's emails. It seems like. Is that appropriate?
It is. And I would say, if it's a smaller company, go ahead and write a handwritten note. But our medium-sized, big-sized companies, they might not get our letter or a little, note. So email is great. Just, thanking each person for the interview and taking time out of their schedule. And, maybe a comment about, once again, why you'd like to work there. And, is there any value that you can offer, and a promise that, that I'm going to work hard, I'm going to give 110%, something like that. And then a couple of years ago, because the market was pretty tight, and I still recommend this, I did it with my own daughter. She was applying, this was last summer, applying for a job. There was her major's international business, but she was really fortunate. There was a company that their international headquarters happened to be in Columbia, South Carolina, and she was staying there for the summer. And she really wanted this product development internship. And this company was a very large fishing company. It's called Pure Fishing, and they own probably 90% of the market share. And so when she would send a thank you note, so it started with the hiring manager, their first screening, she sent an email, but I attached a picture of her with a huge fish that she caught on a rod.
Oh,
So
wow.
market yourself, right? And so the woman caught her, was like, oh my God, this picture is incredible. So then she made it to the next level, right? So she interviews there, and I sent her another picture of another fish or an octopus or whatever she caught, big puffer. Well, that was one of a big puffer fish, and she's wearing gloves, and we attached it. And so she made it to the final round. And when she showed up, the lady who she would be working with said, you're the girl with all those incredible pictures.
That's
And
great.
the interview was about fishing, and then Natalie would scroll through all her pictures. Now, she doesn't know, Natalie never takes the hook off the fish because she thinks it's gross. She's never cleaned a fish, never. But, it was the pictures that they all knew were in the company because they were sharing her pictures.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
So it made you stand out. I've worked with, I've helped a lot of engineers, get jobs. And if they're really into aerospace, I'll say, I want a picture of you and one of those rockets you made, because we're going to attach it to that thank you email. And they're like, cool. But they'll get a response like, oh my
Right.
God, tell me about this rocket.
Yeah.
And so if it's related to the work, the position, something, if you have something that would be kind of appropriate and very marketable and might make someone chuckle, go that extra step and use it as an attachment. Please see my attachment of why I want to work for your company. And there's this big rocket you're hanging on to that you made, or, whatever.
It's different. It makes you more memorable for sure. I know one of our
Absolutely.
girls got us she advanced to the next round of an interview because she was the only one who wrote a thank you note.
Oh,
And they said,
wow.
and the employer said, and we waited to see, because that's very important to us and to our clients. And it shows gratitude. It shows maturity, self-responsibility. It shows so many character traits that we're looking for in an employee, and you're the
Right.
only one. And so, yeah, she advanced to the next round. So it's
Isn't that amazing
vitally
that
important.
it takes 5 minutes
It does.
to kind of
You know
craft
what?
it up.
It's just the right thing to do. We're image bearers of Christ, and it's the right thing to show honor to someone who gives us their time. So,
And I do think if you include a picture, they're going to go the name and the picture.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
bring
yeah.
it together, and I got a visual on this person, and I'm going to remember them.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
For sure.
yeah.
That's great. Well, Molly, you have just been so helpful. And I know that people listening will just come away with so many great tidbits of knowledge. How can somebody get in touch with you should they want to hire you or investigate further your services?
Sure. So I have a website, which is www.college and the number 2 in career.
Okay.
.us. And then I think I shared my email, molly@college2career.us.
Right.
So look at my website. There's a
Sure.
contact form you can fill out, or you
Sure.
can just email me. And I always set up like a 5-minute appointment just to kind of get a feel for what the person's looking for, if I'm a good fit. And then if we both, decide that we're a good fit for each other, then we'll set up like a career counseling session or whatever that stuff looks like. It could be interview prep or whatever. But I would say, that interview, think about, the resume, just to kind of summarize it. The resume, all it's going to do is get us the interview. That's it.
Mhm.
The interview prep is really important because it can get us scholarships, as you know, with your daughters. For my daughter, she got into really elite honors college, but she also got a lot of scholarships that occurred after she was there. There's a lot of people that like to get into business fraternities. You have to interview for that.
Yep.
Campus organizations, you have to interview. So the earlier you can interview and get that to really develop the skill, the better opportunities that as you apply, you'll, hopefully will get those opportunities. So it's always
Great.
important.
Well, thank you for everything you've done for our family and for your
Yes.
time. And I may just send you a thank you email to practice what I preach.
I want a picture.
Oh, okay. Maybe not. I'm teasing.
Right.
All right. Thanks, Molly. Take care.
Sure. Take care. Bye-bye.